Now, this right here is a very important video. This video right here is about how to go about conflict resolution while maintaining your sexual polarity. This is very important, very important. You know, I have a video about how sex is a band-aid, and that's not a bad thing. I have another video about how if you can make love, you can make up. And it really is, if you can fuck, you can make up. If you can fuck for real, you know what I mean? And I have another video talking about, you know, the parable of the storm, you know, shit test exposed. You need to understand these concepts. You need to understand these concepts. Why? Because when you're in a relationship, there's something that can occur, which is sexual polarity erosion. And another thing to understand is that you can be too masculine. You can be too masculine. You can be masculine to the point where you don't have proper leadership skills. Everything is just your way or the highway, and it should be your way or the highway. But the issue is that when you don't know how to resolve conflict without going into your feminine energy, then most of the time that conflict will simply be a symptom of a bigger problem, which is that the respect and desire level that she feels for you has decreased over time, or that it wasn't fully established to begin with, which is premature integration. And when that type of thing occurs, what you have to understand is that, you know, oftentimes shit tests, you know, they aren't things that women do purposefully, right? Oftentimes it's a symptom of a woman feeling unsure about being able to follow you and submit to you. That's a big aspect of what shit tests are. So this is how you resolve conflict without going into your feminine energy. This is how you resolve conflict and maintain sexual polarity, right? How you do that is you have to increase that woman's sexual desire, right? You have to turn her on, right? And you have to be able to have sex with that woman, right? You have to do things that will increase the masculine-feminine dynamic. And then from that place of increasing that masculine-feminine dynamic, and sometimes that means, you have to show emotional discipline, not fly off the handle, not get overly emotional, not immediately try to bend to what she's talking about, unless she's saying something from a perspective of her still being feminine and submissive with you, but she's just saying something that's right, and she's saying it at the right time, and she's saying it from a place of not trying to control or lead the situation, but just from a place of expressing a concern that you can see as a legitimate concern, right? And that's not something that happens where you correct her for something or you check her for something and then she's like, well, what about this? No, that's not what that is. That's not her addressing her issues from a place that's feminine and submissive. So in those moments, you have to disengage. You have to disengage because now she's being disrespectful. She's getting more masculine. And if you bend to what she's doing, she has a symmetrical mindset and a mentality to where she wants the correction and the criticism to be something that is an equal exchange. Respect between a master and a student does not look the same. Respect between a sensei and a student doesn't look the same. Respect between a coach and a fighter doesn't look the same. You are the coach, right? You are the coach. You are the leader. You're the one with the direction. You're the one with the plan. You're the one with the knowledge. You need to have knowledge of how to lead a relationship as a man if you want to be masculine and dominant, right? If you want to be the dominant man when your woman is submissive, these are the things that you got to understand. So what you do is this. You get to the place, and oftentimes sex is a big part of this. Her desire level will increase. You behave in a way that is more masculine, right? You take a step back. You look within yourself. You make sure that you're on solid ground, right? Because this is the parable of the house in the storm, right? The parable of the house in the storm is that when a woman comes at you with a shit test, and she comes at you with subtle disrespect, and most of the time it's not going to be on purpose. If it gets to the point where it's on purpose, then you're already kind of far gone, right? That doesn't mean it can't be fixed, but it means that you probably need to separate yourself from the situation. Because if she responds to your masculinity with her getting more masculine with you, then that, masculinity is just going to keep escalating until until you're going to do things that are outside of your character. And, it may turn abusive. You may put your hands on her. She may put her hands on you. if she really don't respect you. She may, say things that are very disrespectful to you, and then you're going to say things that are going to be very hurtful to her, right? And even the same things that you used to do or say that would have a positive effect on her, her cup is going to be too low. Watch my video on why insecure women can't be feminine and submissive, can't be truly submissive, right? When the cup theory part 3. But what you have to understand is this: when you get to that position, you get to that place where she starts getting masculine with you, your response is you need to disengage. Like, you know what, you on some other shit right now, you know what, you can get you some sleep, I'm gonna just talk to you later, right? Or I'm gonna head out, because this conversation is not going to be fruitful, or it's not going to lead to anything that's going to help us in any capacity, right? So when you get to that place, right, when there is conflict, what you have to be able to do is get that woman to be is to increase your masculinity, not necessarily in an aggressive way, but you show some emotional discipline, right? And when you show emotional discipline, this can look a variety of ways, right? Emotional discipline can just look like you're pulling back from a woman, right? And when you pull back from a woman and you don't hurt her first, right? Or you check that woman, when you pull away, right? And you show, right? You're not saying, I won't accept this. This isn't acceptable behavior. No, you just pull away. You don't talk to her at that time, right? And you let her know, like, listen, I'll talk to you when your energy's better, because right now this is not going to work. This is not going to be conducive to us actually solving whatever issue it is. And you have to understand that a lot of shit tests, a lot of issues that a woman will bring up in a relationship will be a matter of a symptom of the bigger problem, which is the decrease. It's the sexual polarity erosion that's happened over time. Because sometimes when you're in close proximity with a woman, you start to feel more like friends. You start to feel more like equals. She starts to see you common. She starts to get comfortable. She starts to get complacent. You start to get comfortable. You start to get complacent. And when this type of situation occurs, what you need to understand is this: that those things are important. You do want to have a certain level of friendship with your woman. You do want to have a certain level of getting along with your woman. You do want to have a certain level of compromise of communication with your woman, but it needs to be from a place of your foundation already being that you have a masculine feminine dynamic in place. When you put friendship and companionship or bending to that woman and compromise, and you put those things before your leadership, then even when you do the things that she wants, you're going to solve the symptom, but then the way that you solve the symptom makes you more feminine. And when the way that you solve the symptom makes you more feminine, then you're going to be upset because you're going to solve the problem, but her respect and her desire level is going to be too low for that to actually solve the problem. So it's just going to keep popping back up, right? It's just going to keep popping back up. Either that, or it's going to be a situation to where her sexual desire and attraction and respect for you lowers. So just more new things will pop up after you solve that issue. So this is why you got to know how to handle these situations. You have to strengthen the masculine feminine dynamic. And after you strengthen the masculine feminine dynamic, that's when you're in a position to where you listen to what that woman has to say when she's in her feminine energy. When she's in her feminine energy, if she still has an issue, it might actually be an issue. You listen to what she say. You genuinely listen to understand. And when you genuinely listen to understand, as a man, you still have the final say, right? You still have the final word as the dominant party, because you have the plan, the program, the leadership skills, and her plan is not going to be as fleshed out as yours. Because if a woman is overly logical about why she's with you, then she can't be fully feminine and submissive with you. You get what I'm saying? She has to want you from a place of respect and desire. It's on an emotional level where she experiences that feeling of wanting to be feminine and submissive with you inside of your own body, right? So understand that. Understand that particular aspect of things. So you listen, you genuinely listen to understand, and after you genuinely listen to understand, you take the things that she says that have validity and you incorporate that into your plan moving forward in a way and in an order that doesn't contradict with what your plan and your program and the things you're trying to do is, right? So this is a big part of how you do conflict resolution while maintaining your sexual polarity. You got to know how to do that. because over time problems will arise. And certain issues are big issues for a woman. And if you never solve those issues, then you're going to end up losing and ending or having a relationship ended with you when that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. And this may be your wife, this may be the mother of your children, this may be a woman who you love, this may be a woman who has a history of being feminine and submissive with you. This may be a woman who genuinely cares for you and who adds value to your life. You know, if a woman is not someone who already adds value to your life, who already has desire and respect for you, then she's not in a position for you to even be worrying about trying to do conflict resolution. If you just met this woman, fuck her. What she thinks doesn't matter, right? Fuck her. What she thinks doesn't matter. But if she is in that position and she's earned that position, then now you're in a position to where you need to be able to handle conflict resolution, right? Don't take a victim mentality. Don't take a mentality to where you think you're going to be 100% right about everything 100% of the time. Still listen, see if there's validity in it. But at the end of the day, you know, you have to understand that feminine energy is malleable. Femininity is like water. It's form-fitting. It adapts to its environment. So if a woman is unable to adapt to your environment, either that's a bad environment or it's a situation where she is becoming more rigid, she's becoming more logical, she's becoming more... And that logic can just be based on her social programming. Just because it's logical doesn't mean it's truly logical or right. It could just be the logic of what other people said to her, maybe her friends, maybe people around her, maybe her exes, maybe she's talking to some beta males or something like that and has male friends who are trying to throw salt in your game, right? Some people who are dirty macking or something like that. And that's why the respect is important. Because if the respect is important, then that woman is going to lean to her social programming. And social programming says that a woman shouldn't be feminine and submissive with a man. And if she's cooperation, it should be something that's bought. Whether that's with money or with resources or with treating her as 100% equal. And it's not to say that you don't have equality as far as your inherent value as a human being, but as far as your authority in a relationship, it should not be equal. You get what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with money. So if she says, well, if you took me out more, or if you were, you know, you did more things for me emotionally, or all these different shit like that, or if you spent more money on me, or if you had more money, or whatever it is, that's bot cooperation. That's not submissiveness. That's not masculine feminine dynamics, right? So this is how you go about, this is how you go about conflict resolution without going through sexual polarity erosion. Because one thing I've noticed is that when it comes to a lot of marriages, they end up ending because of a lack of respect, a lack of desire, or something called irreconcilable differences. And irreconcilable differences just means that that woman doesn't respect you enough to get with your program, or you're behaving in a feminine way. So you're being unrealistic yourself. And in that particular type of situation, you're in a situation to where it's the fork in the road. So watch my video about the parable of the fork in the road and understand what that means. If you follow her, she's not going to respect you. So she's going to lose desire. If you stay stagnant and complacent for too long, she's not going to respect you. You have to move forward in your own direction that you want to go on based off of your plan. If she's following you, you know, just like a good boss, just like a good coach, you have to be conscious of what she's capable of. You have to be conscious of where her energy is, because you don't want to burn her out by expecting or requiring too much for her based off of how much energy she has, based off of where she is, based off of how much is in her cup. You have to be aware and conscious of these things, right? So, hey, this is Brody. This is how you do conflict resolution while maintaining your masculine feminine dynamic. I'm out.